Hi YouTube, it's Anya. I hope you guys are doing well. I haven't seen you in a little while, so I hope you have been all enjoying your holiday season. I have some great recipes to feature today in my really long video, so I hope you guys can stay tuned and watch them. I have some great videos coming up within the next couple weeks. I have a holiday cookie recipe, and it's going to feature a few different cookie recipes, and then I also have holiday sweets, so any sweets that you might want to serve at your next party gathering. I will talk to you next time. Bye! Alright, so we're going to begin on our marinara sauce for our deep fried pasta and meatballs. So I have a couple tablespoons of olive oil in a large pot, and I've added about 2 cloves of minced garlic. You're going to toast the garlic a little bit. Just be careful not to burn it. It has happened to me, and I was getting close to burning it on this recipe, but whew, phew, I did not, and it worked out just fine. Next, you're going to add 3 cans, 15 ounce each, of whole peeled tomatoes. We're going to puree it later, so you don't need to worry about that. And you're going to give that a little stir. You just want it to kind of end up simmering a little bit, and you are going to add 1 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. You're going to give that a stir, and then you're going to add a bunch of really great herbs and seasonings. So maybe a teaspoon of parsley, dried parsley, a couple teaspoons of oregano, maybe a teaspoon of rosemary, maybe not that much. I don't usually add rosemary. Maybe a pinch of red pepper flake, some salt and pepper. You know, just whatever flavorings you like in your tomato sauce. This also works for pizza, by the way. This is my pizza sauce recipe, but it's also great on pasta. So just whatever. This is a pretty multi-purpose sauce, and I love it. So you're going to want that to kind of simmer away for a few minutes, and then you are going to add about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. It is going to thicken your sauce, which is lovely. Maybe cook it for about 10 minutes until your sauce is nice and thickened on medium to low heat. And it's gonna be nice and thick and just so wonderful. So that's what we have going on right there. And ooh, look at that. It's so pretty. It reminds me of Christmas, which is right around the corner. And then you're going to get out your hand blender, and you're just going to blend the whole tomatoes, because you know, you wouldn't really want to eat it like that otherwise with them whole. So after it's all nice and blended, I usually like mine a little chunky but not completely, you know, smooth. And it is done. Alright, next we're going to begin on our deep fried pasta. So I have 3 eggs in a shallow dish, and I'm going to add 1.5 cups of milk and whisk that in as well. This is going to be our coating, one of our coatings on our deep fried pasta, which is going to be amazing. I have in another dish some salt and pepper, and I'm going to add 2 cups of Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. You can add, you know, panko breadcrumbs, those are good too, but I like Italian plain breadcrumbs. And you're going to add 1 teaspoon of rosemary that you could just maybe kind of crinkled with your fingers, and 3 tablespoons of parsley that you have chopped. So you're going to add that in there and just kind of give it a mix around to get all of those ingredients incorporated together. And I have over a pound, like 1.5 pounds of pasta, and you're going to mix it in with the egg and milk mixture. By the way, this is a cheese ravioli brand. You know, whatever kind of pasta that's pre-made you like, or you can make your own ravioli too. I have mine set up, and you're just going to add a few pieces of pasta in the breadcrumbs at a time, making sure you coat both sides and all of it, because you want to get that great crunchy flavor. After it's nicely coated, you are going to transport it into a container, and you can freeze it overnight, which I made 2 batches, one that night and one the next day. The next day was amazing. I don't know, letting it sit overnight was great. Or you can eat it that day as well. You're going to need a good amount of oil, about 1 inch of oil in a pan, and you're going to heat it until it is nice and hot. You can test with putting a piece of pasta in, and if it isn't bubbling, you know, your oil is not ready. So it takes about 1 minute, 1.5 minutes both sides to make them nice and golden brown. Be careful not to burn it. although, you know, it'll just be nice and crispy. So these were amazing. I mean, I can't even describe. Basically, when you bite into it, it's kind of like a chip pasta, like, you know, you bite into it, it's nice and crunchy. You know, this is a treat. So it is the holidays, it's good to have, but don't eat this every day, just word for the wise. All right, and then you can add some Parmesan cheese after they are done being cooked. You know, however much you like, it's good. All right, let's start on our meatballs. I have 2 pieces of white stale bread, and I'm going to add half a cup of milk, non-fat, whole milk, whatever your preference is or whatever you have in the refrigerator. You want to soak the bread for about 10 minutes in the milk. Now we can start on our meatballs. So I have 2 tablespoons of olive oil, some salt, and some pepper to help season our meat plenty because you want to give that ground beef some flavor. And 2 pounds of ground beef. Usually we buy lower for fat content in our beef just to be, you know, somewhat health conscious, although I was eating deep fried pasta, so that doesn't really count. And then you're going to add some bread that we have, you know, soaked earlier, and just kind of crumble it with your fingers. 1 whisked egg, a couple cloves of minced garlic to help give it some really good flavor, 1/4 pound of prosciutto or Italian meat, about 2/3 of a cup of Parmesan cheese that's been grated, 1/4 cup of parsley, and you're gonna mix and get in there with your hands. That sounds really bad, but it is fun to do, especially if you are a little, let me say, upset, I guess. Put all your anger into that meat. And then we're going to make it into little ball-sized shapes, you know, maybe good 1.5 tablespoons or so. And you can have fun doing this. I mean, I always cook because it makes me have fun, and I'm a hands-on learner, so, you know, this will give you a lot of meatballs, by the way. You can pop them into a 425-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes until they're nice and golden brown, and believe me, they are amazing. So let's get going on our Spanakopita recipe, which is one of my favorite things to eat, by the way. It is Greek and it's so tasty. So I have in 1/3 cup of olive oil, 2 bunches of green onions that I have chopped, and 1 leek that I have also chopped. You can also add, if you want a little more onion flavor, an onion or 2 that have been diced, you know, whatever your preference is or however strong you like it. Then you're going to add 2 pounds of spinach, which is a lot of spinach, by the way. It is a lot. And, you know, you can cut it if you want, chop the spinach. I just kind of broke it apart with my hands, but it, you know, took a little while. So what we want to do is we want to wilt all of the spinach down. And so it's going to take you a little while, as I said, but just continually add more spinach after the last amount has wilted down. It will probably take you a good 10 minutes to do. Then you'll have all the spinach, which has tons of iron. I have just added 1/2 cup of chopped parsley and 3 tablespoons of dried dill, or you could use 1/2 cup of fresh dill if you want as well. You're going to give that a stir, and it is so good, so green, and so healthy. Just reminds you of Christmas. Next, you want to add 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg to help even bring a little bit more holiday-esque-ness to it. Some salt and pepper. I added a lot of salt, but you know, there was a lot of spinach in there, so it's gonna help flavor it. So you can add some pepper too. Give that a stir. I mean, I'm kind of surprised it all went to that amount. So I have 1/2 pound of feta cheese here to make our filling. I added about 3/4 cup to a cup of Parmesan cheese because, you know, it's not traditional, but I love Parmesan cheese. I love any kind of salty cheese. You're going to add 1/2 cup of milk, or you can add 1/4 cup of ricotta cheese, whatever your preference is, just to add a little extra richness. And then you're going to add 4 eggs that have been beaten. You want to give that a good mix around and make sure it's all evenly distributed because, you know, we just want to be fair and everyone wants to get some cheese. Yes, everyone wants to. It's so amazing. I love feta cheese. I love cheese. There's our spinach mixture, which I have drained the liquid from it because spinach contains a lot of moisture inside. But, you know, that's most of it, so it's pretty small amount from what it used to be. And you're going to add that to your egg cheese mixture and just kind of fold it in and make sure all of that spinach is evenly distributed in there too. My friend and I, we kind of go crazy for this recipe. I mean, it's so amazing. We call it the blah blah blahs. I don't really know how that name got started, but somehow it did, and whenever we eat Greek food, we just kind of go crazy for it. So there's our egg spinach mixture. Oh boy, it's good. You're going to need ½ cup of olive oil and ½ cup of melted butter in a little bowl, because that is going to be our oily butter mixture on our phyllo dough. Woohoo! You're going to give that a mix, and you're going to need a package of phyllo dough. I have cut the phyllo dough strips in half because it comes in a whole really long sheet, so you want to cut it in half to fit the pan. It's like that size, you know, fits a regular standard 12 by 9 pan, I guess, you know, whatever that is. And you're going to put on the oil and butter mixture. Make sure there's some oil on the pan too before you add anything. And you're just going to coat the whole sheet. It kind of looks like paper, and it feels like paper, and it kind of comes out like a paper-like thing. And you're going to do that with 10 sheets of this phyllo dough. Just continually add, you know, brush on the butter and the oil. You know, I wouldn't say this is super healthy by any means. I mean, you can kind of see right there that there's a lot of oil. But after you've added 10 sheets and brushed on oil, you're going to add half of the mixture of the spinach and egg. And you're going to smooth it out because, you know, you wouldn't want a whole clump of it right there, I guess. You want it evenly on that pan so everybody will get an amazing piece and slice of that spanakopita. And then you're going to continue adding the butter oil mixture and brushing it on. It's going to get nice and flaky in the oven. You just wait and see. It's going to be amazing. I made one large pan like this size, and then I made 2 smaller pans, one for my grandma, and she said she really liked it. So, you know, if your grandma likes it, it's good. It's gotta be good. After you've added 10 sheets of the phyllo dough, you are going to pop it in a 350-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes until it's nice and golden brown, and it'll look like that, and it's amazing. You can cut it into pieces too. Let's start on our focaccia bread. So I have 1 1/4 cup of warm water, and it's warm, it's not hot, it is warm. And you're going to add a packet of yeast for bread making. You're going to give that a stir and let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. You will notice bubbles, and if there are little bubbles, it is activated. If there are not, it is not working. You'll have to redo it, and that is not fun. You'll need about 3 cups of flour. You want to make a well in the middle of the flour. Add the yeast mixture, and you're going to add some amazing things. But first, you want to give it a stir and incorporate that yeasty mixture with the flour. This is basically my pizza dough recipe, by the way, except I add only 2 1/4 cup of flour and not 3 cups. Next, you're going to add about a teaspoon of salt. I had it in some olive oil, oopsie doopsies, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil, by the way. And you're going to give that a stir until it is kind of formed a ball shape. So it might take a little while, just FYI. But you'll know, it'll be amazing. I love this bread. It's good on sandwiches. It's good alongside some stew. It is good in the wintertime when you just want some bread. And it's tasty, you know. So you can get in there with your hands because, as you know, I love to cook with my hands. It's so much more fun, and especially during holidays when you're just sitting at home and you want some warm bread or anything warm. Just get in there and have some fun. So I'm just kind of beginning kneading the bread to get it all kind of come together. After a few minutes, it'll come together, and you are going to put a kind of towel over it and let it sit for about 1.5 hours until it rises, doubles in size. So I have some great seasonings here which will go on top of our bread. To bake, I have about ½ a teaspoon of salt, a good tablespoon of rosemary, a pinch of red pepper flake, whatever seasoning you like. You could add some oregano, you know, whatever you'll want on top of your bread to give it some extra flavor. And you're going to add that to 2 tablespoons of olive oil and mix that around. Our dough has risen for about 1.5 hours, and I'm just going to knead it a little bit. I usually have fun playing with the dough for a little bit. You don't want to get too hands-on with it because that can make it tough, but you know. Then you're going to roll it out, and I have a rolling pin and some flour on a cutting board, and you're just going to roll it out into a desired width. just because if you don't roll it out, it's not really going to go anywhere in your pans. Yeah, it's good to roll it out. It's kind of funny because my brother decided that he wanted to walk in and talk to me, and I never noticed he was actually in the video. So there he is. He was wondering when the food was done because, you know, brothers, he's a teenager. They will eat all the food in your kitchen, and you will have to go to the grocery store a lot because they are growing boys. So after your bread is a desired width and fits in the pan, I have a bigger pan than usual. It's not 12 by 9, it's the next size up. So whatever that was, you want to smooth it out to fit the pan, and you're just going to start poking it in a couple minutes or in a couple seconds, because that is fun, and that is what focaccia bread is. It's this really tasty, chewy, soft bread that just has a ton of flavor and seasoning in it, and that's what the seasoning is, just kind of seep into the bread. So after you have all those pokies in it, you're going to brush the olive oil herb mixture on top, and boy, is that going to be really, really good. Next, you are going to cover the bread once again with a towel and let it sit for about a good hour and a half, until it is all puffed up. That is after the hour and a half. I'm using my finger to help poke the bread down a little bit and release some of that air inside of the bread. And you are going to pop this into a 400-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. First, I'm just going to sprinkle on some Parmesan cheese because everybody loves cheese and bacon. Yeah, so some cheese. You can add, you know, a good half a cup to a cup, however much cheese you like. There is our finished product. You can cut it up and serve it with your favorite meal. Alright, last but not least, you guys, I have our prosciutto and phyllo dough wrapped asparagus. So I have phyllo dough sheets here once again, and I cut them into triangles, about that large, and I'm brushing butter on both sides. You're going to take an asparagus sprig, and you've trimmed the edges, by the way, and you're going to add some prosciutto or wrap it around, which is Italian bacon. I learned that from Giada De Laurentiis, one of my favorite Food Network chefs, by the way. You can add however much prosciutto you like because it's a little salty, so some people like it saltier than others. And you're going to wrap it in prosciutto. It's really easy, but it's a little time consuming, I will tell you that. But it's really easy, and there's very few ingredients. So once you get the hang of it, it goes pretty fast. I love vegetables most of the time. But I love this recipe because the prosciutto adds a nice salty bite to the asparagus. The phyllo dough adds a nice crunch on the outside, which is nice and flaky and buttery. And then, of course, the roasted asparagus is just so crisp, and I love it. It's a great holiday appetizer to serve at your next party because people can just take a little sprig and eat it, and it is so easy, let me tell you that one. You're going to pop it into an oven at 450 degrees for about 8 to 10 minutes. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I featured some great holiday recipes, and I have some great videos to come. My dog and I wish you all a happy holidays from my kitchen to yours. My name's Anya. I love to cook, and I hope you will learn and love to too. Take care, everybody. Bye!